Hi guys, it's Pete here. I'm working on the truck again. Took it out on the weekend, went up to the Concession Lake Trail with some friends. Here's a clip of how it went. Really? Okay. Once I got to the top, someone noticed that the rear drive shaft looked a little wobbly. So we took a look underneath, and it's a two-piece drive shaft on the long bed models. And you can see here there's a big crack in the rubber of the central support bearings. There's one on that side, and actually if you look on this side as well, there's a big crack as well in the rubber. So that was causing the drive shaft to walk around a lot, which is pretty common on old ones. So what I did is I went and got a new one, and I'm going to take a video on that today. So after I took off the drive flange, what I did is tried to pull it off. It wouldn't really come off. So since the rubber is so deteriorated, I just pulled that part off, which kind of left this on there. This was right in here. I couldn't pull it off with my hands, but just a couple taps with chisel and a hammer, and it came out. Honestly, it was a couple light taps. It wasn't very heavy taps. So I'm just going to clean this up, and then I'm going to go and put that guy on. Now what I've done here is I've actually lined up a center line with some a paint pen. So I have a straight line here, a line here. I've actually marked the drive flange right there. So I'm just going to line all of these up so that they're in the same line that they were when I disassembled it. Now I'm reusing the same nut. Ideally you'd get a new nut because this one, once it's put on, you stake it down so it doesn't move anymore. But this one's not in too bad shape. So I'm going to end up reusing it. There you go, all back together. Moves nice and freely. No noises. Ready to go back in the truck. So when I put this back in, this is actually the transfer case side. Obviously I've marked it as well so that when it goes up to the transfer case, it's the same way as when I took off. This is the side that goes to the propeller shaft that goes to the rear axle. I've also marked this one along with the flange so I can line that up. Everything's going to be lined up fine. So I'm going to look to see what this is supposed to be torqued to. I'll torque it and then I'll stake it down in there. You can see that there's a little area there. You just take a chisel or something similar, punch, hammer that down, and then this nut's not going anywhere and it's going to be set at the torque that's specified at. Okay guys, so I've checked the torque specs, and according to the factory service manual that I got here on the laptop, the intermediate shaft to center bearing, joint flange, it's a stage torque. So the first, you're supposed to go to 134 foot-pounds, then you loosen the nut, and then you go to 51 foot-pounds. Since that's 134 foot-pounds, that's a whole lot. So what I'm going to end up doing is installing this shaft. Remember, this is transfer case side here. This will be bolted up underneath, and then once it's bolted up underneath, before I put on the propeller shaft that goes to the rear axle, I will go and torque that when it's in the truck, because I can have the truck in gear, and hopefully I can get 134 foot-pounds out of that. So I'll install this first, and then we'll be doing the torque. So here it is, it's all back in. That black coupling, that is the center support bearing that I just replaced. Up there you can see that is the transfer case. I actually have a transfer case emergency brake on there. That's might look a little bit different than yours, but those bolts bolting up to the back of the transfer case, those are torqued to 54 foot-pounds. Came back here, those are bolted into the frames. There's one on that side, there's one on the other side as well. These bolts that connect the rear propeller shaft to the center, that is also 54 foot-pounds. I left this drive shaft hooked up. I didn't go and disconnect it. That's why there's no paint on there. However, you do see the paint on here because I wanted to make sure that it was aligned properly, and I also have paint up there to have it aligned properly. To give you an idea of how much flex there was in the drivetrain when this went, you can see up there, that little nick up there, that's not actually mud. That's where the propeller shaft went and contacted the skid plate for the fuel tank. This is the fuel tank right here, and that's the skid plate that you're seeing there. And that little mark up there, that is how much. So this actually moved over about an inch, inch and a quarter, to go and connect with that skid plate. So that's how much flex I had in there when that joint went. So I'm glad that I have that joint back in. New bearing, new joint, it's all sealed, lubricated, things like that. It's maintenance free. It's not like I can go and lubricate that bearing again unless I want to take it all apart, but it's back together. It's in good shape. It's a lot more sturdy than it was last time. There's a little bit of flex there that you can see. But before, as I say, there was enough flex that it was actually hitting the skid plate. So that's all done. Doesn't take very long, guys, to do it. All you need is some normal tools. There's no special tools involved there. I know I used the impact wrench to go and take off that nut. It's a lot easier, but you don't have to have an impact wrench. You just have to hold the drive shaft and you can undo that. The rest is just hand tools, regular, sockets, wrenches, things like that. I torqued them back down with a torque wrench, but if you don't have that, just tighten them as much as you can. So pretty easy job. Most people can probably do this themselves. And honestly, if you have built yourself a rig like this, you can probably do those sort of things. I would say that that's a pretty easy task all in all. So back together. Now I can get back out on the trails. Take it easy, guys.